tweeted just yesterday, robots will surpass good human surgeons within a few years and the best human surgeons within 5 years. Neuralink, that's his own company, had to use a robot for the brain-computer electrode insertion, that's a brain chip, as it was impossible for a human to achieve the required speed and precision. This is on the back of Medtronic's Hugo, they've called it, robotic-assisted surgery, which is now all the rage. They're spruiking their new robotics. This picture of the mock-up of what they're actually doing with the robot isn't very reassuring, but they do tell us it is now performed over 137 live on real people surgeries without a hitch. And when you look at this next video and the precision in which these robots can make incisions and make stitches and do all the fine, finicky things surgeons do, you wonder if they're right.
This is Sony's surgical robot, which can perform microsurgery with great precision. To demonstrate its procedure, a small cut was made on a corn grain, which the robot stitched with great precision. This robot has been specially designed for performing super microsurgery, which allows surgeons to operate on extremely small vessels of less than 1 millimeter. For this, a specialist with experience and steady hands is usually required.
Imagine being a surgeon in training at the moment. That's 11 to 13 years of training here in Australia that you've undergone to finally work on live patients and do whatever they need done. And you've just learned, within 5 years, mate, you're going to be redundant. Joe, how would you take it?
Well, look, I've got a lot of concerns with this. Thank you very much for raising it, Liz, because this is a sort of brave new world we're facing, and other mainstream media outlets simply do not give it the attention it deserves. Firstly, if we could go back to Elon Musk's original tweet, the graphic that we showed you right up the top of the show, Elon Musk says robots will surpass good human surgeons within a few years and the best human surgeons within 5 years. Shouldn't we be replacing the worst human surgeons? What are we doing replacing the best ones? They're the best. We should be starting with the bad ones. And you know what happens when you start replacing the good ones instead of the bad ones? You get to the next video that we saw, which was a robot that's so bad at surgery, it thinks that a human is a cob of corn. They're very different. One's a human being and the other's corn. And the robot can't even tell the difference. It's sitting there trying to stitch up the corn. The corn's fine. Anyway, thankfully, we also caught a glimpse of just how this technology could be applied. In fact,
yeah, we did.
As you know, I always do my research, and I've actually found video evidence of this surgery being applied, not to a cob of corn, but to a real, live human being. This is the facts, people. This is what you won't see elsewhere. Now, notwithstanding the kind of creepy way that Luke checked out his sister as she was walking out the door, that, I think, is a much better application of robot surgery than cutting up corn.
Is this really replacing surgeons, or is this just robot-assisted surgery?
No, we have that already. We have that already. And the doctors using it love it because they can do incredible things in tandem with the technology that is available today. This is talking about the robots themselves being the surgeon.
But you would still need a human being surgeon on hand if things go wrong. Surely robots couldn't anticipate every complication, as so often happens in an operating theatre. My concern would be less about surgeons being replaced, because I'm not sure that would ever happen, but robots operating don't have a sense of compassion, don't have the same judgment or ethics that a human being has. I'm not sure I want to be operated on by someone who is only cognizant of algorithms rather than,
This is
human welfare.
This is the thing that always just blows my mind, because what happens is not so much the robots who are doing the actual surgery, but what happens if AI gets to the point. So, you know, Isaac Asimov's got his first law of robotics, which is that you can do no harm to humans or whatever. But what if you had an AI that was told, right, your number one priority, no matter what, is to save human life. It's to save the human race. How long would it be before that robot says, right, we are so overpopulated that the planet is going to use up all its resources, and it turns into Thanos from the Marvel movies? Or indeed, you know, what happens if a robot surgeon has someone and decides that actually its quality of life after the surgery would be so poor, they would be better off dead. And,
right.
the robot just... And again, this is not a decision that the robot surgeon would make in the operating theatre. And by the way, do you know they can stitch up blood vessels that are 0.5 millimetre? I mean, that's amazing. Even like Charlie Teo can't do that. So that is bonkers amazing. But again, what if you have robots just making all these... You kind of... I don't know. There's something really terrifying about extremely rational decisions
in operating theatre, especially if it's an emergency operation that you want a human being making those decisions, not a pre-programmed computer.
But what you're saying, Joe, is that ultimately they'll be far more utilitarian.
That's right.
Yes.
Ultimately, there'll be a robot...
This person's a burden, and
That's
therefore...
Right. Or the robot will say, I know how many people I have, I am like Deep Thought or like Hal in 2001 or whatever. I know how many people are waiting for X number of surgeries, and if we expend this amount of time and resources on this person here, we could actually better divert those resources to save 10 lives over here instead of this one life here, and therefore it is a perfectly rational decision that we...
This organ transplant should go to a better recipient. I'm not performing.
So that's exactly right. Or I'm operating on a 70-year-old and their heart, and I've just become aware that there is a 12-year-old who suddenly needs a heart transplant, and they would have 70 more years than the years I'm giving this person. Therefore, I'm saving more life if I cease operating, pick up the heart and bung it in the new kid.
So
that's medical ethics.